Prior to commencing, audience discretion is strongly counseled. The ensuing content is exclusively for academic and amusement intentions. This constitutes the precise federal judicial declaration of the Sean Diddy Combs proceeding, as chronicled by Inner City Press. In a staggering turn on the 7th day of the Diddy tribunal, the chamber fell silent as Sheila E. was summoned to articulate. Recognized by most as Prince's celebrated percussionist and intimate confidant, few anticipated her to voice her perspective. Yet, when she ascended to the stand, she was not solely representing herself. She was carrying the dying cautions of an individual who many presume apprehended excessive knowledge. Sheila E. articulated that Prince had confided in her years prior to his sudden demise, alleging he dreaded for his existence after understanding the reality of what was unfolding behind concealed portals in the sector. Her testimony wasn't mere rumor. It intertwined back to Diddy, the industry's deepest enigmas, and a string of veiled remarks Prince made precisely before he passed. What Sheila E. shared impressed the assembly and linked points nobody had dared to voice publicly until this moment. Sheila E. commenced her declaration tranquilly, but her words held significant weight. She informed the panel that shortly prior to Prince's passing in 2016, the artist grew increasingly apprehensive, not of mortality itself, but of being rendered mute. He was uneasy, Sheila disclosed. He stated to me, "There is magnitude happening in this sector than anyone comprehends. It is not beyond merely possessing your proprietary recordings, it is about who possesses you." Per Sheila, Prince considered the music sector to have become a breeding ground for deceit, exploitation, and even coercion. She recollected one particular late-hour communication where Prince told her, "Individuals at the apex are wielding divine authority. If I speak too loudly, they will suppress me." Sheila unveiled that he referenced several personalities, but one particularly persisted, Shah Diddy Combs. Prince believed Diddy was participating in agreements that far exceeded musical boundaries, and that he was shielded by powerful entities. He didn't express it out of envy, Sheila clarified. He said it because he had observed it firsthand. Sheila likewise mentioned Prince cautioned her never to attend certain gatherings in the sector, specifically those where Diddy would be present. He warned, "You do not wish to be in that location. Occurrences unfold there that you cannot unwitness." These were not typical post-event assemblies. Prince purportedly labeled them ritualistic observances disguised as festivities. While Sheila noted she initially assumed Prince was exaggerating, she altered her viewpoint after he became visibly shaken following a visit to Los Angeles. He did not consume sustenance. He did not sleep. He simply reiterated, "They are aware. I am aware." Sheila then narrated a disturbing account that astonished the chamber, a gathering Prince supposedly hosted, not by preference. "The initial Diddy event I ever encountered," she stated, "was at Prince's abode, and Prince was not content about it." As related by Sheila, approximately 2006, Diddy requested to orchestrate an exclusive function at Prince's manor, Paisley Park. Prince consented reluctantly under pressure from mutual industry affiliates. "It was intended as a professional assembly," Sheila explicated, "but what transpired was something Prince never desired to be connected with." The function, purportedly initiated like any standard gathering. Velvet rope, sparkling wine, esteemed invitees. But once the cameras ceased capturing, circumstances changed. Sheila conveyed, "The protective personnel advised me no one was permitted to carry their mobile devices or personal security guards." Sheila stated, "That was when Prince informed me, this is no longer my gathering." Within, the atmosphere shifted. Sheila portrayed beholding conduct she had never witnessed at Paisley Park, including suggestive presentations, regulated substances being dispensed, and an unsettling absence of limitations. Subsequently, there was a private sector of the estate cordoned off to the majority of the invitees. "Only a select few were granted entry," she recounted. "Prince gazed upon me and proclaimed, 'That is where the authentic function is held.' Sheila did not venture beyond the threshold." The subsequent dawn, Prince reportedly communicated, "That was the final instance I permitted him access to my domain. Something shadowed entered with him." The prosecution inquired if she felt Prince regretted granting Diddy entry to his domain. "Undoubtedly," she affirmed. He felt as though he had unlocked a passage that could not be sealed, and following that evening, everything was transformed. As her declaration persisted, Sheila commenced weaving a narrative that astounded the assembly. Per her account, Prince held the conviction that command in the music realm was not merely fiscal, it was psychological. He revealed to me, "They do not simply covet your chart toppers, they covet your quietus, and if they are unable to acquire it, they will enter you." Sheila stated Prince frequently discoursed regarding non-disclosure agreements, clandestine transactions, and secret convocations where careers were forged or extinguished instantaneously. She linked this observation to what she had assimilated concerning Diddy's alleged debauchery events. Sheila testified that Prince believed those assemblies were not solely dedicated to gratification, they were dedicated to authority. He asserted, "They document everything. That is their leverage." According to Sheila, Prince depicted it as a framework where individuals are cultivated, documented, and subject to extortion, and should you fail to conform, you disappear. Sheila also highlighted that around this time frame, Prince had initiated a full-scale judicial and spiritual conflict against Warner Brother, the identical entity that was linked to both his contractual disagreements and Diddy's recording label, Pact. He conveyed to me they were entirely interdependent. The identical executives who deprived him financially were the ones facilitating the launch of Diddy. She further articulated that Prince held the belief Diddy was permitted to ascend because he adhered to the customs, while Prince was penalized for endeavoring to possess his personal compositions and voice dissent. The chamber remained hushed as Sheila portrayed one of Prince's concluding declarations to her. He articulated, "When I depart, do not let it be without purpose. Recall what I imparted to you, safeguard the verity, even if it is distressing." Sheila E. informed the panel that Prince confided in her regarding an entire network within the musical domain, one constructed around oversight. He declared they record all things, and I signify all things, she asserted. As per Prince, many of the most exclusive gatherings he was formerly invited to attend were in fact snares. He stated individuals were guided into chambers, extended substances, and subsequently captured on camera, unaware the footage would eventually be utilized as influence. Sheila alluded that Prince felt this surveillance system was employed to ensure fidelity and silence. And did he? He declared Diddy was one of the gatekeepers, Sheila recounted, referencing numerous exchanges in which Prince characterized Diddy as an individual who had transgressed the boundary and now operated not as a creator, but as an implementor. He was not merely engaging, Prince reportedly affirmed. He was orchestrating, controlling. Prince had developed increasing unease by accounts he had assimilated from creators who escaped the detrimental boy environment. As per Sheila, Prince would narrate how they would evanesce, descend into disarray, or fade from the rankings instantaneously. He reportedly told her he held the conviction some had been professionally ostracized after declining to participate in specific pursuits or after attempting to reveal what genuinely occurred at these assemblages. But what genuinely unnerved Prince, as per Sheila, was the concept that the documentation existed and was being retained or exchanged. He asserted, "This is not merely compromising information, this is medium of exchange. They govern you with it." Sheila testified that Prince had initiated investigating who possessed entry to these recordings and dreaded what might ensue if he ever materialized in one, even if he was merely in the backdrop. That dread, she affirmed, haunted him until the day he perished. According to Sheila E., the final communication she ever shared with Prince was not simply peculiar, it was alarming. She informed the chamber that mere days prior to his demise, Prince contacted her unexpectedly in the middle of the evening. "I recall observing the hour. It was beyond 2 a.m., she articulated. "He never contacted so late." Her tone tightened and he sounded terrified. He was not apprehensive of mortality, but that night he sounded apprehensive of individuals. Sheila testified that Prince discoursed enigmatically, but distinctly, he declared, "They are observing me. They desire me to be hushed." She noted he did not specify who they were, but that she already comprehended the structure, the sector, the custodians. He consistently cautioned her about. He communicated to me he was preparing to express himself. She affirmed he indicated there were strategies. He had already been conferring with persons regarding providing testimony in a federal litigation. He did not disclose whose. The chamber was roused at that instant. The prosecution requested her to elucidate. Did Prince assert he would be providing testimony? She confirmed. Yes. And when I inquired regarding what, he stated, "These assemblages, these creators, the recordings, they are not fabrications. I have perceived them." Sheila articulated he seemed particularly distressed by the involvement of persons he once regarded as Confederates. He disclosed to me he attended a gathering and realized half the individuals present were there to accumulate confidential information, not disseminate musical creations. Then came the declaration that left the chamber silent. He proclaimed, "Should I falter, it shall be because I attempted to rescue someone who did not desire rescue." Sheila paused. At the time, I presumed he was referring to a creator, but now beholding all this, I surmise he was referring to Diddy. She recollected Prince's concluding remarks on that communication. "Do not permit them to distort my heritage, and should something occur, remember this exchange. Articulate it loudly if I am unable." The subsequent dawn, Sheila endeavored calling him repeatedly. No reply. A few days subsequently, he was departed. "I did not wish to acknowledge it," she confessed. "But now that I've perceived what has emerged concerning the mistreatment, the assemblages, the compulsion, I believe Prince was endeavoring to caution the globe, and they severed him off prior to his capability." Sheila E's declaration persisted into one of the most volatile segments of the day, as the prosecution delineated direct correlations between Prince's suspicions and the federal accusations confronting Sean Diddy Combs. When questioned if she held the conviction, Prince's warnings regarding oversight, manipulation, and compulsion were mirrored in the proceeding. She affirmed, "Every singular particular Cassie conveyed in this proceeding, Prince disclosed to me was occurring years prior." She continued, "He imparted to me creators were being documented without assent, that these assemblages were facades not solely for controlled substances and dominance, but extortion, that non-disclosure agreements were not safeguarding casualties. They were rendering them mute." The panel heeded attentively as Sheila depicted a discourse where Prince reportedly referred to Diddy not as a creator or a co-equal, but as a steward. She expounded, "He articulated Diddy knew every individual's frailty and understood how to exploit it. He did not simply covet dominance over music, he coveted dominance over individuals." Prince purportedly apprehended the identical destiny would befall other creators who challenged him. And that was when Sheila introduced the concurrent declines of several detrimental boy creator careers. He imparted to me, Mace totaled a 26. It was not solely flawed administration, it was retribution. Then she apprised the tribunal regarding the covenant between Warner Brothers and Bad Boy, a Confederation Prince reportedly stated intertwined two malevolent entities. Sheila testified he loathed Warner for how they dealt with him. But when he ascertained they were funding Diddy, he remarked it was logical. Naturally they are. He stated they financed the engine. I eluded, but others never will. Prosecutors inquired why Prince had not publicly disclosed any of this sooner. Sheila's tone fractured slightly. He was awaiting. He stated he desired to release the chronicle with substantiation, periods, personalities, agreements. But the week prior he was scheduled to convene with an investigative collective, he expired. And just like that, the quietus of nearly a decade made sense in an entirely novel manner. Sheila concluded her declaration with a concluding quotation from Prince. "What they execute in the shadows emerges in the melodic creations. Heed closely. You shall perceive the agony." She oriented herself to the panel. "Presently, you are perceiving it in the tribunal." The tribunal illumination seemed harsher when Diddy's principal advocate, a seasoned legal expert known for dismantling renowned individuals providing testimony, ascended for cross-examination. Until this point, Sheila E's declaration had unfolded under the consistent direction of prosecutors. Systematic, compassionate, respectful toward Prince's remembrance, the defense opted for a distinct strategy: assail credibility, question motivations, obscure temporal sequences. Firstly, they leaned into the 5-year interval when Sheila and Prince reportedly lacked communication, citing periodical interviews where each claimed the other had proceeded. "Proceeded," the advocate commenced. "Is it not accurate you and Prince had been estranged for approximately half a decade? That you disseminated a memoir he felt betrayed his confidentiality, precipitating a divide?" Sheila responded resolutely. "We diverged regarding the manuscript's tenor, but we re-established connection. I possess call logs, aviation manifests, and personally inscribed memos from him dated January through April 2016. Prosecutors swiftly introduced those as evidentiary material, compelling the defense to shift focus. Subsequently arrived insinuations of economic incentive. The advocate noted that Prince's patrimony is still subject to litigation, then inquired if Sheila anticipated to fortify her standing as a prospective recipient by inserting herself into a highly conspicuous proceeding. The implication elicited murmurs from the assembly. Sheila paused, gazed directly at panel members, and articulated, "Prince and I resolved our artistic disagreements in 2015. He solicited me to safeguard the authenticity, not pursue pecuniary gain. My declaration imperils my performance earnings and affiliations. I am present because he solicited." Undeterred, defense counsel progressed to procedural detail. Did Sheila personally witness Diddy documenting extortionate recordings? Did she ever observe agreements linking Warner executives to compulsive non-disclosure agreements? She acknowledged she did not, but reminded the panel her function was not to furnish documentation, but to impart Prince's cautions. "Should you desire documentation," she articulated, "consult the label archives. Prince apprised me precisely where to search." The prosecution seized upon that point, promising they would subpoena supplementary corporate documentation. Stress escalated when the defense challenged Sheila's recollection of Prince's concluding audio message. After playing the 27-second excerpt, Prince's vocalizations barely audible, stating, "We are not secure. Observe the recordings." The advocate proposed it could pertain to pharmaceutical disputes rather than conspiracy. Sheila's counter-response was unnerving. "You may interpret his phraseology, but you cannot interpret the consistent occurrence. Creators fragmented, footage concealed, quietude bartered." The cross-examination extended for approximately 2 hours. By the conclusion, Sheila remained composed, but the tribunal ambience had intensified. Panel members scrawled feverishly, and one requested a facial tissue during a sideline discussion. Substantiation that even under a barrage of skepticism, Sheila's chronicle had penetrated emotional fortifications. Diddy's legal group sat impassive. Their tactical approach had marred Sheila's portrayal, but not disintegrated it. And in their endeavor, they inadvertently accentuated one unspoken apprehension. Should the documentation Sheila alluded to genuinely exist, they could decisively impact the proceeding and perhaps the sector wide open. When tribunal reassembled after midday recess, prosecutors counterattacked with a meticulously orchestrated evidentiary disclosure, records they asserted Prince intended to disseminate prior to his demise. Firstly arrived a sealed portfolio from Prince's private advocate, unsealed in camera, and subsequently summarized for the panel. Within were photographic copies of 3 non-disclosure agreements. One endorsed by a female vocalist detailing a compelled clandestine presentation at a 2010 Hamptons gathering linked to Diddy's contingent. One endorsed by a male session guitarist referencing compromising documentation recorded in Miami. And a third, unsigned but composed for an ascending rapper delineating remuneration terms should he decline special appearances. The advocate's introductory memorandum stated Prince had acquired these from a trustworthy informant at a principal label. Subsequently, prosecutors played an auditory file retrieved from a Paisley Park backup archive. Prince practicing an interview that never aired. In the segment, he remarks, "They will designate it networking, but it is cultivating. Young creators enter assuming it is a festive occasion. They depart, owing a liability quantified in quietude." Panel members inclined forward, hearing the identical rhythms Sheila depicted. Subsequently, a financial analyst assumed the position to clarify monetary pathways Prince's contingent had charted shell corporations routing attendance remunerations to 2 specialized security enterprises staffed by former military personnel. The analyst connected those enterprises to private functions, matching the periods of Cassie's purported debaucheries, and several convocations enumerated in the non-disclosure agreements. The analyst asserted that statements were labeled venue, illumination, or VIP liaison, identical verbiage Cassie noted Diddy utilized when concealing escort expenditures. Finally, prosecutors introduced hotel keycard digital information subpoenaed from a luxury chain's archival databases. Logs indicated Prince's access code was reissued remotely at 3 a.m., the nocturnal period prior to his urgent aircraft disembarkation, the identical hour Sheila claimed he communicated to her. "They are external to my portal." prosecutors contended the reissue signified unauthorized manipulation, supporting Sheila's assertion that Prince feared being pursued. The cumulative impact was stimulating. Individually, each exhibit was indirect. Cumulatively, they constituted a framework. Non-disclosure agreements matching Cassie's account, remunerations coded to camouflage illicit costs, Prince's personal phraseology anticipating extortion, and digital breadcrumbs implying oversight. Even conservative legal observers whispering in the overflow area acknowledged the prosecution had accomplished something uncommon, transformed a deceased icon's apprehension into tangible tribunal consequence. We might be observing the inaugural posthumous informant, one analyst quipped on a live broadcast as prosecutors concluded for the period. They left the panel with a projection of Prince's personally inscribed admonition to Sheila. "Your quietude will not shield you." It lingered on the display until the magistrate dismissed proceedings. The underlying message was unequivocal. Should the panel hold the conviction Prince foresaw all that Cassie endured, convicting Diddy would feel less akin to a verdict and more akin to fulfilling a prognostication. News of Sheila E's declaration and the evidentiary shockwave dispersed. Throughout the entertainment cosmos prior to Twilight, social platforms erupted. Experienced manufacturers posted cryptical, "I informed you thus" pictographs. Legacy journalists conceded they had once dismissed Prince's cautions as eccentric meandering. A global designation, Trust Paisley prophecy, trended by eventide. Music juridical entities fielded frantic communiques from labels questioning what unreleased non-disclosure agreements might abruptly be subpoenaed subsequently. Within Destructive Boys' Manhattan bureaus, insiders divulged that 2 high-ranking administrators took indefinite leave within an hour of the hotel key digital information. Reveal. An internal communique circulated at Warner Music instructing staff to conserve all historical documentation pertaining to creator arrangement packs, igniting rumors that the label anticipated federal questioning. Even broadcasting platforms. Perceived tremors. A primary service quietly convened a specialized unit to scrutinize archival video recordings it facilitates from private presentations. Returning to tribunal, Magistrate Subramanian scheduled an emergency in-chamber session to deliberate on expanded evidentiary scope, signaling that more sealed material could emerge. Reporters speculated that Prince's patrimony, long paralyzed. Overvaluation might now possess leverage over labels desperate to avoid further unveiling. Juridical pundits predicted a series of civil litigations from creators who had executed hush agreements under duress. Most revealing of all was Diddy's disposition at day's conclusion. For the initial instance since the proceeding commenced, observers noted he declined to establish ocular contact with the assembly, opting instead to fixate upon the defense table's wood texture. When his advocates whispered, he did not respond. Outside, his maternal parent, Janice, and his twin offspring exited behind opaque parasols, no longer pausing for image-capturing devices. Sheila E. departed via a lateral entry escorted by federal officers, a cautionary measure mandated after prosecutors disclosed anonymous menaces on social media. She subsequently issued a concise pronouncement. "I executed his request. I safeguarded the verity." Her communication device, insiders relayed, has not ceased pulsating, melodists acknowledging her, administrators cautioning her, and enthusiasts imploring for more. And somewhere within the maelstrom, the significance of Prince's final public communication, precisely when you believed you were secure, landed with renewed resonance. The proceeding of Sean Combs had already been framed as a reckoning for him personally. Following Sheila's declaration, it appeared more akin to a reckoning for an entire epic of music sector influence. As tribunal recessed, a seasoned tribunal sketch artist summarized it best to a CNN microphone. "I have witnessed deception, schemes, sanguinary funds proceedings. I have never witnessed a spectral entity ambulate into a federal tribunal and provide testimony. Today, Prince did." Regardless of the panel's ultimate determination regarding Diddy's culpability, the narrative can no longer be confined. Quietude, the commodity Prince asserted labels most valued, just fragmented.